he's not gonna be able to take a nap, though.
I said, I wasn't planning on it anyway, but.
Oh, you're right in the catbird seat there.
I may call on you first.
I got the answer, man. Whatever the question is.
So we've rehearsed this.
Are you gonna sing for us tonight?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Are you ready?
My answer is always yes, dear. So that's the way I've been trained.
And you say, are you ready? Is that what you say?
Not usually that nice, but.
I only have one thing to say. That was it.
Bless you. Good night.
No, think about it. I only have one thing to say. There's only one thing happening. And it's happening all the time, and it's happening right here, and it's always happening now. And no matter what we think, it's always now. Did you ever think about that?
Mm-hmm.
Then and past, future and past are simply imagination. Everything's happening now. And ordinarily, when we think about it, now is this tiny little fragment of time between an ever-expanding future and an ever-expanding past. And the fact is, we spend much more of the time in the past or in the future than we do in this tiny now that we kind of conceive of as moving along in this linear track that we call time. We've been trained to believe that's what's happening. Our culture has trained us. Our classes have trained us. Our education has trained us. And we are all good students. In one way or another, we have absolutely been convinced. And the problem with that has to do with awakening. So, if we believe that now is this fragment of time that moves forward, oh, I'd really like you to come forward because we're going to sing and I need some help. You'll witness in a moment that chair will gently rise. Is she always this stubborn? Yeah, okay. I was serious about singing. So we always think that where we need to go is somewhere other than now. And what makes what I do and what makes the enterprise of spiritual awakening so challenging is that it requires us to remember what now is, which just sounds ridiculous.
Right, because that's like past tense, to remember now.
To remember now.
May I have a Kleenex, please? May I have a Kleenex, please?
I need it back. Would anybody else like, is anybody weeping or?
Thank you. I'm not used to sitting up front like this. Kleenex is
Cameron is videoing tonight, just in case I say something of value. So from time to time, it would be really helpful if you would nod your heads. You don't have to clap, just clapping might interfere with the soundtrack. So, I'm really not into religion. It's one of the problems being a rabbi and not being into religion any longer. But I am into the wisdom of a tradition that is my tradition. So I have a tendency to refer to that tradition when I teach. But I'm not looking at my tradition as a religion. I'm looking at the wisdom in my tradition as a reflection of a universal spiritual path. Because the truth is, if the path is not universal, it's not spiritual. So if anybody says, we've got it and you don't, run. So it's like we have to allow ourselves to release the prison of everything that we've been taught about the nature of reality, which is the hardest thing in the world to do, because it's so convincing. It is so convincing. We make appointment books, so it tells us what's going to be, what's going to be, what's going to be. We can look back and see what was, and by God, there's almost no now. Oops. It was now it's not now. Now it's now. Unless we start from the premise, the possibility, that it's all now. There is only one now. I don't care when you notice it or where you notice it, but there's only one now. And this is it. And in this now, we have some remarkable choices. And one of the choices is a remembering of what we're doing in this now and who we are in this now. So before I get into the topic of tonight, because I actually have a topic. I know that's unusual. I'd like to share a verse you know. It's from Psalm 46, verse 11. I probably don't need to recite it, right? Harpu ud'u ki anochi Elohim. Means, shut up. Usually translated, be still. But the Hebrew is actually a little bit more inclusive. Stop. Like, whatever you're doing, whatever you're thinking, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're remembering, whatever you're futuring, stop. Harpu udu, stop and know. Now it's not stop and find out. It's stop, and the act of stopping opens the know. Know as in K-N-O-W. And it's hard to get this, but it's not knowing something you don't know. It's knowing something that you've always known. It's knowing something you've always known, and it's been trained out of us. Because we've been trained to believe that we are separate beings, we are not connected, It's nice to be kind to each other. It's good to take care of each other, but we're separate beings. And we're not. You probably know it in terms of trees. You know that all the trees are connected. And not only are they connected, but they're conscious. And if one tree is suffering, other trees know that and send restorative chemicals to feed and to help heal the tree that's wounded. This is consciousness. This is not self-reflexive consciousness. So we have a little trouble getting the difference. Human beings have self-reflective consciousness. So we know we are conscious, which leads us into some difficulty. Because in our knowing, we limit the ways we are conscious. Stop so that you remember, so that you know. Ki anochi, that I am, and this is the problem with translation. It's usually translated that I am God. That's not what the Hebrew says. One of the things about the Hebrew language, and this follows even in modern Hebrew, but in biblical Hebrew it's even more pronounced, and that is, there's no fragment that is inserted in the present tense of being. So if I say, I am happy, there's no am that shows. It's just ani, I, sameach, happy. And to translate it into English, it's I am happy. So if it says, Anochi Elohim, Anochi is I am. It's one of those, it's the way what we call the 10 Commandments, the 10 Principles begins. I am is the Eternal One, your God. When Moses asked God, what's your name? And you've heard me say this a million times. It's the one time anybody ever asked God, what's your name? Which is great. And the answer was very clear and very direct. Ehyeh asher ehyeh. Ehyeh is a verb of being without limitation. First person being, namely, I am. And then Ehyeh asher ehyeh is I am as I am. In modern Hebrew, those words would be translated, I will be what I will be. And sometimes the biblical Hebrew is translated that way and it misses the point. Because there's no I will be. That assumes I'm not now. So that's hardly, plus, that it just isn't. Even ancient tradition knew that the Ehyeh represented what we know of as past, present, and future. I am is absolutely inclusive. It's a way of forming the verb to be without limitation of space and time. Be still, shut up, stop, and know. How do you know if you've, oh God, no. How do you know if you've stopped? You'll know because if you really stop, you'll know. Stop and know that I am is God, which is a very different statement, because be still and know that I am God sounds like somebody out there we will know of as God. I'm living right now in a senior living facility where the majority of people are not only Christian, but they tend toward fundamentalism. Several of them have an agenda to convert the rabbi. Apparently, they get extra points if you can
1 year free.
if you can convert a rabbi. The weird thing about that is that I love Christianity. It's just there's a little piece of it that I don't love. I love the teachings of Jesus. He's the most well-known Jewish teacher in history. But if I ask them, what religion was Jesus? They go, and you know, I could see behind the eyes, they're thinking, wasn't he Christian? I say, you know, Christianity didn't actually begin till the 3rd and 4th century. Once I say that, they don't talk to me anymore. They're beautiful people, but you can just see. Now, I am as impacted by my culture and by my training and by my personality, by this TED Act that I've perfected over the years, as anybody. I really don't pretend to be free of that. However, my agenda is to know it so that it doesn't define me. I'm not this. I have this. It's served me well. It has allowed me to channel over the years something that gets clearer and clearer and clearer. And God knows how clear it's going to get. I don't know. I do this because it's my way of finding out how clear it's going to get. Be still. We'll just do be still because we don't want to say, stop. Be still and know I am is God. It's a meditation. It's a mantra. Be still and know I am is God. Be still is to enter into the universal silence. It's the one thing we know is universal. You know, people go, what is the same for every human being who's ever been and ever shall be? What's been the same for our whole lives? What's been absolutely the same, which is another way of saying, in what context are we simply meeting? There's no Jewish silence, although some consider that an oxymoron. There's no Christian silence. There's no Muslim silence. There's no Buddhist silence. There's no Hindu silence. There's just silence. And in that silence, I am. In that silence, I am aware. In that silence, I am awareness of whatever. You know how you say God is love? People tend to agree with that, you know, but what does it mean, God is love? God loves me. The awareness that is I am, the universal awareness. If you think about awareness, awareness holds everything. It doesn't deny anything, and it doesn't choose. It's aware. It's aware of good stuff. It's aware of bad stuff. It's aware of beauty. It's aware of ugliness. It's aware of everyone. It's aware through all the senses of everyone. It's aware through all the eyes and all the ears. But all that is content. So awareness automatically welcomes, joyfully, peacefully, awareness of it all. That's love. What is love but unconditional, absolute acceptance? Now, I'm not talking about romantic love. Romantic love's great, and it's an aspect of that kind of acceptance. However, the love that we are is universal. It's not limited to any particular person who does any particular series of acts or who speaks any particular series of words. It's yesness to whatever's happening. Is there going to be bad stuff happening? Well, if there's going to be good stuff happening, there's going to have to be bad stuff happening, because in the physical world, a coin can't be a coin unless it's got heads and tails. You can't have light without darkness. It just does. This reality, this world, is a world of contrasts. And we have a tendency to decide which contrasts are right. We'd like only the good ones. It can't be done. Not in the world of contrast. And with awakening to the wonder of awareness itself, it can all be held. Now people say, well, if I open to loving it all, then I'm stuck in the bad stuff. And that's a play of the ego. The ego convinces us, the ego is jealous. The ego is afraid. You want to know about your ego, where your ego is, look and see what you're afraid of. Look and see what you desire. Look and see what you wish wasn't the case. That's all ego. We don't have to call it bad, we don't have to call it good. It's just how ego works. It helps us navigate the world in this particular body, but it's not who we are. Be still and know I am is God. So, I'm going to try to sing a song. I'm not a singer. And I'm going to sing a song that I'm going to ask you to join me in. Okay, I'm going to say something first. Look, you know that we can't decide what idea is going to come into our mind next. You are aware of that, are you not? We could decide to think about something, but otherwise the chatter's going on all the time and we don't choose it. It kind of happens. It's the same with words. I don't think a word and then decide to say it. I might practice a particular passage or something, but otherwise I don't know what I'm talking about until I hear it. And sometimes I go, oh. And sometimes I go, I wonder what that means. Yeah?
Things become clear.
Oh, sure. Look, thought and words solidify things. In Hebrew, the word for word is the same as the word for thing, which is really trippy. The Hebrew word is davar, and it literally means word. Devarim are words. and it literally means thing. And we create things with our words. Words separate. Thoughts separate. That's their function. So it's hard to get to one through words. That's it. But the ego would like to figure out how to do that. I don't know. Perhaps I was just afraid to sing. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Listen to the word of love within. Listen to the word of love within your heart. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Listen to the word of love within. Listen to the word of love within your heart. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Listen to the word of love within. Listen to the word of love within your heart. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Listen to the word of love within. Listen to the word of love within your heart. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Listen to the word of love within. Listen to the word of love within your heart. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Listen to the word of love within. Listen to the word of love within your heart. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Listen to the word of love within. Listen to the word of love within your heart. Love is the way to God. It's true. It's true right now. It's always true. One could also know it as love is the way to one. Love is the way of one. Listen to the word of one within your heart. It could also be peace. Love is the way to peace. Listen to the word, the vibration of love within your heart. It's within your heart. It's already there. Okay, so I'm going to talk about what I was going to talk about tonight. I said something about, utilizing my tradition. So one of the things that's interesting about this tradition is that the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible, the 5 books of the Torah. Torah is a word that means teaching. It's not law, it's teaching, it's metaphor. If you think it's history, that's another religion. It's like, how do you communicate beyond now to the next now? How do you speak to the universal now? And the Torah, the Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy are, well, the other way around. Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy are divided into sections. And this section division came before chapters and verses. Chapters and verses were created by the church. The Hebrews were far less linear. So actually, like, the portion for this week starts at the 26th verse of the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 11. You'd never know it starts there in the way it's currently numbered, but that's where it starts, and it's called Ra'eh, and Ra'eh means see, as imperative. See, I set before you today blessing and curse. Choose blessing that you might live. Choose blessing. How do you know which is blessing and which is curse? It's spelled out very clearly. The way of one is always blessing. Boundaries, separations, veils, differences. We see beyond them. We know we're one. So then there's going to be corresponding actions. There could be corresponding thoughts. There's going to be corresponding ways of using our energies. There could be corresponding vibrations. Curse, the way of curse, the way it's described there, is to go after other gods. Well, other gods are called egos. Whether they are famous people, whether they are guru people, whether they are wise people, whether they are powerful people. I'll tell you. There's no way to share everything that's going on in one's mind. So last week I got hearing aids. And they're not doing what I hoped they would do. I'm not being able to hear conversations as well as I had hoped. So I'm actually going back tomorrow to complain to them and say, make them better. However, I'm hearing much more noise going on all the time. And they're connected to my phone. And if somebody sends a text, it gets read to me. So just then, I got a lovely, loving text in the midst of what I'm doing. And I'm sure the one who sent it had no idea that I would be hearing it. And there's some setting I have to change. But it's like thoughts, We don't choose our thoughts. I mean, sometimes we choose our thoughts when we're doing it, I want to think about, but otherwise the thoughts just come. And it's like, that's interesting thought. Do I really want to think that thought? Oh God, I wish I knew what I was talking about now. What was I talking about when I decided to share my private hallucination there? So here's the, right. So the scene that's set up is great. It says when you enter the land, this is not going to happen yet, but is setting the stage. The book of Deuteronomy is the last book of the Torah, and at the very end, we go into the land. Then comes the later books of the Bible, but the Bible is the Hebrew Bible has 26 books. So it's got a lot of different segments. It's got the Torah, it's got kind of historical, semi-historical, because they didn't have historicity then, so it's a little different from what we consider history now. And then it's got wisdom literature like the Psalms and Proverbs, Ecclesiastes. So when you come into the land on Mount Gerizim, people are going to stand and speak words of blessing. And on Mount Ebal, people are going to stand and speak curses. If you forget, when you go astray after other gods. So when you remember and act, let's say, with love, when you remember love, then, I mean, you know what it's like when you walk with love. You know what it's like when you are awake with love. And when you are awake with separation, with distance, with not yets, with almost, with not quites, with anguish, with fear, you know what that's like. And it's like what we human beings actually are going through at every moment of every day. It's like we open our eyes and the world says, here's curses and here's blessing. And if you're like me, you check with the news to see if we're still alive, and you get a lot of energy of curse, a lot of energy of separation, and terrible things are happening to people it shouldn't be happening to. And then you look out and you see the trees and you see some of the people and you go, that's beautiful. And every moment is a choice. Look, I set before you today, I set before you now, blessing and curse. If we're going to walk on this planet, that's always our choice. And it goes deeper than that. Because if we really follow the instruction, the see, be aware of what it means to be aware of blessing and curse. Because the one aware of blessing and curse is not either blessing and curse. The one aware holds both. It's the yin and the yang. It's the yes and the no. It's not yes and no and maybe. They're held together. Our culture these days brings us, at least in my experience over these 83 years, the greatest degree of chaos that I've ever walked in. Radical chaos. Well, that's interesting. If we fight it, we become part of it. I used to think that if only the good people came in power, everything would be okay. But I've lived now through several good people in power. Everything wasn't okay. And now I'm living through awful people in power. And still things are not okay. You know, I mean, it's like, wait a minute. I think we're being asked to notice something, that the ways we thought things would get better, they won't get better. There's only one, this is terrible to say, there's only one way. I say it's terrible to believe, says it's the only way. And the only way, the only way peace will come is when we become peace. When we celebrate the vibration of peace wherever we are. Because the vibrations we carry impact everyone around us. Will it magically awaken everybody? No. But it provides a context. People think that if what we do is work on ourselves, work on remembering, work on awakening, we are withdrawing from the world. And it's the exact opposite. The greatest gift we can give to each other and to our world is the vibration of peace and the vibration of oneness and the vibration of love. And the world is hungry. And we can watch how the ego tugs and says, you can't do that. No, yes, but. I wish I knew how to say this better. There's a problem with desire. Because desire for something, whatever it is, whether it's a material, whether it's financial, whether it's position, whether it's relationship, whether it's whatever it is, the desire automatically puts us in a position of not having. We can't have a desire without, at the very same time, supporting that we don't have. Now that's a very peculiar thing. Can we achieve things that way? Yeah. However, if you've ever done it, you know it doesn't end up where you think it's going to end up. It ends up with, once again, finding something else to desire and something else you don't have. It's the way of it. It's nobody's fault. It's just the way it works. Which is to say that when we want something, we've got to stop wanting it. We've got to move into a place of absolute acceptance of the now and discover in that absolute acceptance that, lo and behold, we have everything we want. Will it come in the exact same shape that the ego has decided looks good or whatever it is? Maybe. That's to be discovered. However, it works. You can't lose if you allow yourself to absolutely accept the now. To absolutely accept yourself as you are right now. You are. Whatever you think you are, whatever. This is the perfect Ted. That doesn't mean this is the perfect human being. That means this is the perfect Ted. Does he have fears? Yeah. Does he have desires? Well, frankly, a lot of times. And he knows that trying to fulfill those desires or try to get rid of those fears is not going to be helpful. So he wants to know the fears. He wants to know the disturbance, the chaos. And he wants to go yes to it. Yes is different from choosing everything to stay that way. I don't know if you've ever worked on a pain like a headache or a body ache with absolute total acceptance. If you have, you notice something interesting. Because there's something about awareness itself that's healing. Things that are totally accepted as they are in the moment refuse to stay as they are. They shift. Because the only way things stay as they are is when we try to get rid of them. This is not mine. This is... You can look into your own experience and realize that you already know all this. And I might strike a chord that allows you to vibrate to that chord. But it's you who do it. I have given up trying to heal people. I used to spend a lot of time doing that. I now know I can't. That's ridiculous. My job is to heal me, this. My job is exactly what I'm suggesting is your job. But my job is not to fix you. You're perfect. I know that. I mean, I know that. I don't believe it. I know it. And if you really allow yourself, you know it too. I keep looking at that clock, and that clock doesn't move. It's still 2:30. So the point of singing that song was to have everybody sing the song. So I can understand that it's hard to follow the way I sing. However, I'm going to sing again, and I'm going to invite you to sing with me. And I'm going to invite you to own the words. I'm going to invite you to bring those words into your shower. They're simple words. Love is the way to God. Of course. Love is the way of God. Love and God are not separate. Love and oneness are not separate. They're words. They sound separate. They're not separate. Listen to the word of love within. Well, yeah, you've already got it. It is as alive in you as it is in me and as it is in every human being. Some of us are protected against it. Some of us fight it. Some of us are uncomfortable with it. Some of us don't believe it. Some of us don't shut up long enough to realize it. Listen to the word of love within your heart. And the interesting thing about the melody is that it just leads into itself, because that is the nature of love. And that is the nature of one, and that is the nature of God. Sing it in your mind. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Listen to the word of God within. Listen to the word of love within. Listen to the word of love within your heart. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Listen to the word of love within. Listen to the word of love within your heart. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Listen to the word of love within. Listen to the word of love in your heart. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Listen to the word of love within. Listen to the word of love within your heart. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Listen to the word of love within. Listen to the word of love within your heart. Love is the way to God. Love is the way of God. Listen to the word of love within. Listen to the word of love within your heart. Love is the way to God. So this is the second last of the Tuesday evenings. The Tuesday evenings, like I had two motivations in setting up the Tuesday evenings. One was very selfish. I had been through some dark times, and I had pulled away from pretty much everyone. And that's a story for another time. But I spent a while not. I'd spent some time not in any way speaking, and I thought actually I was done. My sense of time has altered. I don't know how to express this because it doesn't make sense. It seems to me like a long time has passed when it might be a week. It is really, something might have happened yesterday. It feels to me like it happened a long time ago. And it's a different way time is, the notion of time is operating in strangely, it's not strange for me, it's strange in terms of what it used to be, the regular. So I got to the place where I wanted to teach. I'm a teacher. And I wanted to know what I have to teach, because I knew it wasn't what I had been teaching. I mean, it's not that it's totally divorced from it, but it's not quite the same. So I asked for this opportunity, and the church generously gave me this space on Tuesday, on the 2 Tuesdays a month. The other reason I did it was the place I came to, and I can't tell you how hard it was for me at the beginning. The place I came to be with people was here. And this is very different than it used to be. It's, the last time I was here, Dr. Richard and Matthew were here, and it was a very different energy. But people let me. Sometimes somebody would ask, when was I going to speak? And I said, I doubt it. I wanted to do something that would help support the healing of this place. And I haven't succeeded at doing that. I succeeded in discovering what I'm supposed to do with the rest of my life. Where I'm supposed to do it and how I'm supposed to do it, I don't know. It's not time for me to know that. What I hoped to do for the church was raise some money. This has not done that. What I'd hoped to do for the church was raise energy. And I've not done that. So I am grateful for those of you who came tonight and for those who have kept me company. Steve will be with me on the first Tuesday of September. And he's been great.
I'd like to challenge what you just said about not raising the energy here. Are you familiar with Dr. Emoto, the Japanese scientist who has taken photographs of water crystals?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think even though this is a small group and we haven't raised hundreds or thousands of dollars, it's been like a homeopathic drop of the people who are here who've committed to coming, to raising up the vibration within ourselves, thanks to all of us here and through you. So I would say we don't know the end of the story yet about if this is going to change the energy of the church. I think it already is.
Okay.
In ways that are mysterious to me and I don't have a clue. But that's what I'm saying.
I appreciate that. And of course, on an ego level, I had an idea of what it would look like. So,
You got me here.
but it's,
Right.
and you've pretty much stayed awake the whole time. It's good to see you. I like your hair. I just, thank you, Jana. I am so aware of the beauty of the people who have shared these Tuesdays with me. I feel honored, I really do. And if what I've shared contributes to your remembering who you are, I'm really so delighted. And I do want you to know that you have done it. I didn't do it. I'm just kind of doing my act. and you get to remember in the midst of that. So it's 2:30.
It's dark, and I've got
Still now.
Oh, there's still some light over there. Oh, thank God. Okay, you're gonna be okay. Yeah, I'll be okay.
And we're going to conclude. I'd like to thank Cameron for videoing. I asked him to video these last sessions. It's, for the time being, it's going to be on the Unity website. So it's, is it on YouTube? Yeah. And Cameron's going to edit it, you know, so that the parts that don't make sense and perhaps my singing will be excised. But thank you, everybody. I deeply appreciate your company. And thank you, Cameron.
That you will be back first Tuesday of September.
Yeah. At which time I will tell you, what?
Your singing is perfect.
I noticed you moved even further away.
It's the lights. I can't do the lights right now.
Ah,
Yeah, I hear that.
got it. Thank you for letting me know.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Let's give it,
Yeah, okay.
everybody have a little round.
Good luck with